Okay, let's dive right in. We're looking at this really stark contrast today.
Hmm.
Imagine two people, both deeply religious. For one, faith leads to, kindness, community.
Right. Service, maybe.
But for the other,
Yeah.
it's completely different. They believe God actually wants violence, wants subjugation.
Yeah, it's that extreme split we're focusing on, isn't it? Between just like cultural faith and this radical violent interpretation.
Exactly. We want to sort of understand how belief itself can become a weapon. We're using insights from this transcript. God told me to kill the dangerous power of belief.
And what jumps out right away is that difference between, let's say, cultural religious practice and radical theocracy.
How so?
Well, think about people whose faith is tied up in traditions, holidays, just being part of a community. The transcript uses the example of many Israelis.
Good.
When they're attacked, their instinct to defend themselves. It's fundamentally about safety, right?
Yeah.
Protecting themselves, their kids. It's not usually framed as, God told us to fight this specific war.
It's a human response. Secular almost in its motivation.
Precisely. But then you look at groups. The transcript mentions Hamas, ISIS, Islamic Jihad. It's a whole different framework.
The theocratic one.
Yes. They seem to genuinely believe their political goals, their military actions are direct commands from God. War isn't just politics for them. It's a divine mission against certain groups.
That's a really crucial distinction. It changes everything.
It does. And we need to be super clear, like the transcript emphasizes, this isn't about smearing Islam as a whole. Billions practice peacefully.
Of course. The focus is on these specific radical groups.
Right. How they use religion, they weaponize it. They pick and choose verses, interpretations from the Quran, from hadiths.
Taking them out of historical context.
Often, yes. Twisting them into justifications for, well, horrific violence. Bombing cafes, targeting civilians, claiming it's all religiously mandated.
Which fosters this really disturbing mindset you mentioned earlier.
It's not about land, not really, or even just revenge in a worldly sense. It's about pleasing God, achieving martyrdom.
They believe they're guaranteeing themselves a place in paradise through these actions.
Exactly. That's the belief system. It makes their calculation totally different from, say, a standard political or military one.
There's a kind of chilling logic to it, if you accept the premise.
But the transcript raises a powerful counterargument. Think about it. A divine creator giving us minds, hearts, a conscience. Would that power really command the slaughter of innocents?
It seems contradictory.
It does. The suggestion is that these calls to violence in God's name are actually, well, human fabrications. Madness wearing a religious mask, as the source puts it.
People hiding behind scripture to justify their own, maybe darker impulses.
That's the implication. Using God as an excuse.
So if we apply this lens to something like the current Israeli-Hamas conflict, how does it change our view?
Well, the transcript suggests it's not just about land or power, though those are factors. It's also a clash between a basic will to survive on one side.
And this belief in divinely required sacrifice on the other.
Exactly. A belief that violence against the other is not just permitted, but demanded by God. And that makes resolving things incredibly hard.
Because how do you negotiate with someone who believes they're on a mission from God? The transcript says you can't negotiate with prophecy.
It's profoundly difficult, which leads us to the need for really careful thinking, especially when you hear people say, oh, both sides are the same, or it's all just as bad. Moral equivalence.
We need to look deeper.
Yes. Ask the hard questions. Is the driving force here defending your community, your life after an attack? Or is it pursuing a path you believe God demands, one that involves eliminating another group entirely?
A genocidal path to paradise versus survival.
The transcript really pushes us to see that difference. It's not just about believing in God. It's about believing you are God's instrument for violence. A huge, critical difference.
That really lands. So maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this. What happens when individuals or whole groups are absolutely convinced they have a divine green light for their actions?
Yeah. How does that conviction change conflict? How does it change the possibility of peace?
Yes. Definitely something to think about long after this deep dive ends. A sobering reality to confront.